Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to a brand new Roblox Studio video. My name is Floppy, and in today's video we'll be going over how to make a basic settings menu in Roblox Studio. In this menu we will have multiple settings players will be able to change, such as the game audio, sound effects, the time of the day, and also game shadows. This gives your players a great variation of things to adjust while they are playing your game to ensure they have the best possible gameplay experience. Now, something to keep in mind, in today's video we are going over the general most common settings which can be adjusted in any Roblox game. Depending on what sort of game you're developing, obviously you may want specific things to be in your settings menu. For example, say you're developing a simulator, you may be wanting to change the visibility of a player's pets. The issue is, each game has their own way of managing how and where the player's pets are located, making it quite difficult for me personally to create a general script which would work for everyone. Although I do plan to create an inventory/pet system in the future. So when I do that, I'll be sure to include a pet visibility setting which you'd be able to add to your existing settings menu. As I've also mentioned, this is a basic settings menu, meaning it's a very straightforward, simple settings menu. I plan to make a more advanced settings menu which includes tween service, additional GUI movements, and smooth fades when changing settings, taking the whole settings menu to the next level. Well, without further ado, let's begin the tutorial. So first of all, you want to make sure that your Explorer and properties are enabled. If your Explorer and properties are not enabled, head up to the top bar here, click on View, and enable Explorer and properties, and they should show up somewhere over your screen. So now that you've gone and enabled your Explorer and properties, you want to go and create your settings GUI. So to create your GUI, you want to head over here to Start a GUI, click on the plus button, insert a screen GUI. Then inside the screen GUI, I'm going to insert a frame. And for this tutorial, I'm not going to be doing anything crazy. I'm just going to be keeping the GUI to a very basic, simple standard because I'm not really needing to put too much. I don't need to make this too glamorous. It's fine how it is. So we've got our main frame. We're going to actually size this down slightly because that could be slightly too thick because it's just going to be a very small, simple GUI. And how we're going to lay it out, we're going to have the text here saying what we're changing and then the button that will actually go and change it. So it's very easy and you just kind of have it in the, like a little bit of a list form. But anyway, we've got our frame here. Go and customize it how you like. I'm just going to add a simple UI corner here, for example. Change that to 13. Then I'm going to add a UI stroke, and that adds a nice little bit of a black outline around our GUI, so I'm going to change that to 4, and now you can see we've got a very simple, clean looking GUI. So once you've gone and customized your main GUI outline, we now want to go and actually add the buttons and the text inside of the GUI. So I'm going to first of all be starting with a text label. This is going to be actually explaining on what the player is going to be changing. So I'm just going to go and change the background color so we can kind of get a little bit of a better idea on where our frame actually is. Obviously you go and customize it to how you like, but I'm just going to keep it very basic and simple. Text scaled, there we go, there is our simple text. We'll go and change these all here a little later because we'll do them in order. Then what I'm going to go do, I'm going to go click on the plus button here next to our frame and insert a text button. Now this is going to be our button that is actually adjusting, or the player is going to be clicking to change the specific thing. So for example, say this was the mute button for the music. This, when a player goes and clicks on that, then the music will be muted so that the music is no longer playing. So I'm going to quickly go and adjust this just like I did there. Obviously you can use image labels or image buttons. It's totally up to you on what you decide, but we're just going to keep it like this. Something with the frame now, I would highly recommend actually going and actually changing the name of your frame to something, for example, settings, because when it comes to actually inserting the script, we do need to be able to easily identify what our frame actually is. So go and change your frame that is holding everything to something specific. So now that we've got the label that is actually going to be telling us on what we are actually changing, and we've got our button, we can leave these just like that for now. All you want to go and do is I'm going to go and duplicate them 4 times. However many times however many settings you want in your game, you go and adjust it accordingly. So what I'm going to go do, oops, I grabbed the whole thing there. There we go, I duplicate that, I drag that down. Now, obviously you don't have to copy exactly everything I do, you only add the settings that you want in your game. So you can add 4 for now, but even if you go and only add 2 of the settings which I mentioned in this video, that's totally fine. It doesn't really matter. So now what we're going to want to do, we want to head over here to our screen GUI, click on the plus button and insert a local script. Now we're going to leave this local script just here for now, and then we'll come back to that in a little bit. So first of all, the first thing we're going to be adjusting is the actual game audio. So this is going to be disabling a specific sound group. What I'm going to go do is I'm going to go and rename this button right here to, let's go and rename it to game music, just like that. You want to go and rename all your buttons accordingly. You don't need to go and change the text because we control that all in the script. Then here on our second one, the second one we're going to be adjusting is the day or night. So this is going to be determining what time of day it is. Is it going to be a day or night time? That is what our next setting is going to be. So I'm going to go and change the name of our button over here to, I'm just going to call this day. Then here on the third one, we're going to be adjusting the sound effects. So this is going to be pretty much similar to the game music, but now we're just changing the sound effects, just like that. And then our fourth and final one is going to be the game shadows. So we're going to be adjusting that there to game shadows, and that is just our things there. So what I'm going to go do, we've got the day there. We want to go and change this. I'm just going to change this name to SFX, just like that. You want to go and change all of your buttons accordingly because this is what we're going to be managing in the script. Then here on our last text button, we're just going to go and call this shadows. Easy and simple like that. So we've got our game music, we've got our day, we've got our SFX, which is sound effects, and also our shadows. So once you've gone and selected the settings that you want in your game, you obviously now need to go and get the things that go with those settings, the things that are actually going to be adjusting it. Now, because this is a completely empty base plate, there's nothing else in here, I need to go and add my game music. So if you don't already have your game music in your game, you want to go and add that right now. So I've now gone and got my sound group from my previous tutorial, and I'm just going to paste it in there. Now I also need my randomizer script for the playlist. So I'm going to quickly go and grab that here from my server script service. If you're needing a playlist tutorial, I will link it at the end of the video if you're needing it, or the link to my playlist tutorial will be also down in the description. Now also something that I forgot to mention right at the beginning of the tutorial, to actually open up your GUI, it is very, very simple to do. All you need to do is obviously in your screen GUI, you can use the same screen GUI or you can use a different one. So insert a text button, for example. You have your little text button there, and then you get a script, which I'll also leave down in the description for you. It will be right at the top, the first script in the description. It will be called open and close script, which you're able to just put in there with a local script inside of the other text button, just like that. And you put your script there, and then when a player goes and clicks it, the GUI opens. When they close it, then when they click it again, then the GUI closes. But it's very easy to do, just simply like that, in case you don't already have a GUI opener script. So we're firstly going to be starting with the game music. So now that you've got your audio, if you don't already have an audio, you just simply add a sound group, add your audios with the sound IDs, and then you disable the playing and also disable the looped. So once you've gone and implemented everything accordingly for your game music, for starters, we want to head over here to the local script. We then want to go down to the description of this video. So go grab script 2, bring it back to Roblox Studio, remove all the previous code, and then paste in the new code. So now that you've inserted the script inside of your local script, there's a few things that you need to go and change to make it work accordingly. So first of all, here on line 1, you want to go and change frame to whatever your frame is called, which is actually holding all your settings buttons. So as you guys remember, our one here, our main frame is called settings, which is holding our day button, which is holding our text labels. We want to go and change frame over here to whatever your frame you went and named your frame to. So for example, I changed mine to settings, so we're going to go and change frame to settings. So then it goes here, local game audio equals script.parent.settings.music. But now, as you guys remember, what it's basically doing here is going from our script to our parent to the settings, then trying to find the button called music. But now because our button is not called music, which is controlling the main game music here, we need to go and change that accordingly. So as you guys can see, our button that the player needs to click, which is over there, is called game music. So I need to go and change music to game music, just like that. Now on default, what I've gone and added here, just so that you don't have to go and change these accordingly, we control it all here in the script, is I've gone and made it so that it goes to our button, which is our game music, and it changes the text to mute, basically allowing it, because when a player joins into the game, the likelihood of the music playing already when they join into the game on default is likely. So when you go and join into the game, you want the button to say mute so that the player can choose to mute it, to change the volume to 0. Then when the music is at the volume of 0, then the text is is going to be unmute, so that you're able to unmute the music so that the volume is increased again. You'll get a little bit of a better understanding here shortly. So then here on line 6 it goes local music sound group. This is identifying our sound group, which we're actually going to be adjusting. Now because we need to find our music sound group, because we are changing the volume via the sound group. So depending on what your sound group, which is holding all of your audios for your main, for example, playlist music, you want to go and change that accordingly. So for example, if you went and changed sound group here to farm, you're going to change it to farm. But because ours is called sound group, I'm just going to change it back to sound group. So this identifies our sound group, which is holding all of our music. So then it waits for our game audio button to be clicked, then it creates a function, then it changes our music sound group volume to 1, and then it changes the text of our button to unmute, so that it is, because it's currently at a volume of 0, so we need to change the text to unmute to show that the player that they can unmute the music. And then here on line 15 it just goes playlist active equals false, and that just changes that variable to false, which is all of this here is just controlling if the music is playing or if it is not. So that is the main music playlist right there. So what I'm going to go do, I'm actually going to go quickly test it out just to make sure that it is all working, to show you that it does indeed work. So as you guys can hear, well, you should be able to hear, you can probably hear, yes. Okay, excellent. You can hear the audio is playing. Oh my goodness, that is loud. Let me turn down the audio here slightly. Oh my goodness. Alright, but basically what is happening here, if I go and click on mute now on our button, you're able to see the mute button has appeared. I go click mute, the music has now gone and stopped. I go click unmute, the music will now begin playing again. So now we're going to be moving on to system 2, the day or night setting. So first of all, before we head over here to our local script, we now want to select the correct time that you want your game to actually be set in. If you're wanting your game to be, for example, a horror game based in the night time, then you're going to be maybe setting it to 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, for example, or maybe 3 a.m. or whatever you would like to do. You just change the time accordingly. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be setting my daytime to 12 p.m, which is lunchtime or in the middle of the day. So you want to go down to the description of this video, copy and paste in script 3. It's going to be called day or night setting, and then you want to just go below here or below the other code that we were working on just before, and then paste in the following code from the description. So now what we want to do before we go and begin anything else, you can go and rearrange this to make it a little bit more organized. Now, as you can see, I've got different variables on different levels. So what I'm actually going to go do, I'm just going to divide these so we can easily identify what is doing what. Now you can leave it like this if you really want. You can leave your variables in the script. It doesn't really matter. I mean, usually you would have all of your variables identifying your other bits and bobs up here at the top, just below the main area. It doesn't really matter where you have it located. So basically what happens here is it goes local day equals script.parent.frame.day. Same thing exactly here up here as the game audio. We now need to go and change our day button that the player is going to be clicking to we're going to want to go and change the frame to whatever our settings frame is called. So I'm going to go and change this to settings just like that. And then you want to go and change day to whatever the button is called that the player needs to go and click to change the daytime. So as you guys remember, our one was called day, so we don't need to go and change it. But if you went and changed it to pig, then you're going to change it to pig just like that. But I'm going to keep it as day accordingly. Then it goes local game lighting. This identifies our game lighting, which goes game to our game, then to our lighting folder. Then we're changing the text exactly how we did up here with the game audio button. We're changing the text to night because when you join into the game, now obviously you need to go and change this accordingly. If your game is starting in the night, then you want to go and change this to day if the player is wanting to change it to the daytime. If your day is starting at, for example, my game is starting at 12 o'clock during the day, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this to night so that when the player joins in, they're able to change it to night because it is currently day. It works vice versa. If your game is starting in the night, then you're going to change it to day. So then here it waits for our button to be clicked. So when our day button has actually gone and been clicked, it creates a function, and then it goes if game lighting dot clock time equals 12. So if our game lighting equals 12, our initial start clock time, if it equals 12, then the game lighting dot clock time is equal to 22, which is going to be 10 o'clock or 10 p.m. at night, making it quite dark. Then it's going to go down here and it's going to go and change the text of our button that is going to be controlling it to day, simply because we are now sitting at a time of 10 o'clock at night, so it's going to be dark, and now we're going to allow the player to change it back. Else game lighting dot clock time equals 12. So if our game lighting dot clock time is not 12, then it is going to be set to 12. So it is no matter what, always going to be changing back and forth to 12. If it is not 12, it is going to be set to 12, because if it is not 12, it is then going to be 10 o'clock at night. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And if the clock time is 12, then it is going to be saying night. So what we're going to go do, we've gone and changed everything accordingly. We don't need to go and change anything else. Obviously, if you've gone and changed your clock time to something else, for example, say, I don't know, 1 p.m., you're going to change it to 13. Then, for example, say your night time is 1 a.m., you're going to change it to 1, just like that. You do everything accordingly to how you want it in your game. I'm going to go test out here now, so I'm going to go click on play. So first of all, I'm going to go and remove the music so we don't have to listen to that awful sound. Then I'm going to go down here to the day or night. I'm going to, as you guys can see, the button is now going to change to night, so I'm able to select, okay, I want it to go to night time. Okay, brilliant. The time is now going to change to night. Then it changes the text to day, so I'm able to select, okay, I want it in the daytime now, and now it is back to the daytime. So that is System 2 completed. We are now going to be moving on to System 3. System 3 is pretty much very similar to the game music. We just do it for a different selection, or should I say a different sound group, because we're going to be doing it exactly how we had it in the sound group here previously. So what we want to go do is you now want to go and insert your sound group that has got your sound effects. If you don't already have a sound group, you just want to go and create a different one here inside of your sound service, or you could just simply duplicate the one that you have here currently and just change the name of it to Sound SFX Groups, for example, and insert some different audios, but it's totally up to you. But I'm going to go and insert my new sound effects sound group. So I've got my main sounds here, I've got them set to playing and looped. Obviously, you don't want to have them set to playing or looped if you're only wanting your sound effects to play at a certain time. For example, they reach a checkpoint or whatever, you want to go and change it only then. But anyway, I've got my main sound group here. I'm going to head over here to our local script. I'm then going to go down to the description of this video, copy and paste script. We're now on script 4, I'm pretty sure. Yes, script 4 is going to be called sound effects mute setting. You're going to go and copy that, bring that back to Roblox Studio. Just go underneath here on our script 3, add a bunch of lines to separate again, click the enter, and then I'm going to go and Control V and paste in the following code. So as you guys can see, it is literally pretty much the same as script 1. You can also go and just simply duplicate this if you really wanted to, but I've just got my variables changed differently, because if you go and duplicate it, you have to go and change the variables accordingly. Anyway, we've got our local sound effects. This identifies our sound effects button, exactly how we've done up here with our previous buttons. We just go and change frame to whatever your settings frame was actually called. Then you just go and make sure that your main actual text button name is also named accordingly. So you can see here, we go to our settings, and our main sound effects button is we've gone and call it SFX. We go back to the script, we make sure that that matches up. If you went and changed it to the sound effects, then you're going to be changing it here to sound effects. But because our one is called SFX, I'm just going to go and change it just like that. Then the same thing exactly here with the sound effects button. With the sound effects text button, we go and change the text to mute, because we're now wanting to mute the sound effects, because on default the sound effects are going to be playing. But if we go and change it, or we go and change the text here to allow the player to see, okay, if I click that button, it mutes the sound effects. The exact same thing here with the SFX active. This just determines when they're playing and not. Then the exact same thing here with local sound effects sound. We identify it in our sound service exactly like we did up here on the main playlist game sound audio. We change the sound service, we've got the sound service, we go to the sound service, and then we change the sound group accordingly to whatever our new sound group is actually called. So you want to make sure that these variables are not the same, or it will mess up the script. But because our variables are not the same, it's not an issue. So go and change sound group to whatever your new sound group is called that is holding your sound effects. So my one here is called sound SFX group, just like that. Then it waits for our sound effects button to be clicked, our main button that the player is going to be clicking right there. And then the exact same thing happens here. It just changes the volume to 0 when the button is actually gone and been clicked. Changes the text, it changes that to true. Else, then it changes the volume to 0.5, changes the text back to mute. So this is turning it off, and this is turning it back on. So now that you've gone and adjusted everything accordingly, we're going to go and test it out here in the main play area. And as you guys can hear, there's two different audios which are playing there. We've got some rock music, and then we also got some breezy music. So I'm going to go and mute our main game music, and now you're able to hear my sound effects are playing. So what I'll go do, I'm going to go over to my sound effects and click mute, and now my sound effects have gone and stopped. But now, for example, let's say the player wanted to keep the music playing but disable the sound effects, they can do so. and then they just unmute the main music. So we're now going to move on the fourth and final system, game shadows. Now we don't really need much here with the game shadows. All we need to do is just simply go to the local script. We then want to go down here and just add another line separating the area. So you don't have to add these lines, but I feel it just easily separates it so that it's not just one big blob of code. Then what you want to do, you want to head down to the description of this video, copy script 5, I think it's going to be now. It's going to be called shadow setting. You want to go down here, click enter, open up a new area, and then Control V and paste in the new code. Now the exact same thing here with local shadow. This is identifying the button that the player is going to be clicking. So we want to head over here. We want to change this accordingly. Script.parent.frame. We want to go and change our frame to settings, just like that. And then whatever your shadow button is, we want to go and change that accordingly. So my shadow button inside of our settings is called shadow. So I'm just going to go and add an S there. And then we're identifying our game lighting. Now, depending if you're using the daytime thing here also, you do not need the second game lighting because you've already identified it, you've already got it here in the script. But you keep it there if you don't have the day and night changer. If you do have the day and night changer and already have got game lighting, you don't need to go and change it or add another one. It doesn't really matter if you have two, but it's just unnecessary to have a whole nother game lighting variable here in your script. Then it goes local shadows, as we mentioned here, change the settings, change the name. Then it checks when our shadow button has been clicked, it creates the function. And then if game lighting.global shadows equals false, then game lighting.global shadows equals not game lighting.global shadows. And then it changes our shadow.text to off, and then this turns our shadows back on. Now, something I forgot to add here on the shadow script is actually to go and change the text. So what I'm going to go do, I'm just going to go underneath here, underneath local shadow, I'm going to go type in shadow.text equals quotation marks, and then change it to, for example, what are we going to have it on? So on default, the shadows are always on when you join a game, so we're going to be changing it to off, allowing the player to turn the shadows off. So what I'm going to go do now is I'm now going to go and give it a test now that we've gone and made those adjustments. And as you guys can see, our game shadows are currently on. You can see my game shadows are just underneath here by the player. It's a little bit difficult to see, but we've got our game shadows there. Then I'm going to click on the off button over here now, and then as you guys will be able to see, my game shadows are disabled, and then it allows me to turn them back on if I wish, and if I turn them back on, then my game shadows are active again. And that is how you can create your own settings menu inside Roblox Studio. If you guys are a little bit lost and you're needing a little bit of assistance here with this tutorial, please feel free to create a ticket in my Discord server, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. But anyway guys, I'm going to wrap up the video here. If you did enjoy, I'd appreciate if you do consider subscribing to the channel, turning on the notification bell, and also do consider liking the video. I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see everyone in the next Roblox Studio video.